everyone, I'm Lulu from Plants by Lulu and welcome on my channel. Today I'm going to do repot part 2. Thank you for all the people who left messages. I really appreciate it. And I got some new questions or topics to talk about. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and let's go! So first I want to give you an update on the roots of the cuttings. It is 2 weeks later, so in total 3 weeks. And these are the roots for this one. This looks very good. This looks like roots that you can put up. So I'm very happy that that's the case. And then for these two, I'm kind of, I don't know. I think I'm going to repot them, but this one has this much root and this one has this much root, which both are fine. But that means that I really need to keep an eye on both with watering in the first few weeks. And this one is kind of a weird situation because the leaves are not floppy, but also not very like rock or solid hard. Normally when I put my plants in water, the leaves are getting like very rock solid hard, especially those, oh no, this one is like still kind of floppy or dehydrated. Oh, well, I see why now. I didn't notice, but this leaf is just cut off from the plant. The leaf petiole is just totally in half. So that explains a lot actually, because that was the only leaf that kind of was still dehydrated and all the other leaves are more firm but not rock solid. So then I guess this plant is ready to be potted up. Someone asked me for these cuttings how I kept up with watering or if I changed anything, and the thing is in the past I tried to change the water every week, but one time I forgot a whole set of cuttings for I think 2 weeks, and I noticed in that way for me it grows faster, and I'm not sure why. I don't know the science behind it, but since I noticed that, every time I water my plants or every time I come by it and see, oh, there's not enough water in it, then I will like water it with just my water can with just tap water in it. And I noticed that when I not change all of the water but just add more water, for me they grow more quickly. And so I don't put anything in it. I have tried, like I think in the past half year, I've tried to work with root powder. That didn't work out. Maybe I used it wrong, but they said just dip it in the root powder and that's it. I did that, and all of the cuttings, I think I did it with 6 different cuttings, so from different plants, and all the 6 cuttings died. So I don't know if you have a success story or a horror story with the rooting powder. Let it know in the comments down below. I'm very curious. Those were the things from last video I wanted to put up. But now onto the Monstera Deliciosa cuttings, the variegated ones I took a while ago. And they're now already grown into plants. And I think they have too little of leaves to say how their like overall variegation will be, but I guess it's a good indication. This one is one of my smaller ones. I have 2 kind of smaller ones. This one is so cute. Like, I think for me this like variegation ratio is good. If I have to be nitpicky, this leaf could use a little bit more variegation, but overall I think if the plant continues this type of variegation, I would be very happy. This is the other small one. I think this one is very cute, but this one has little less variegation, but also you don't know, because often these plants with the variegation would have one side with more variegation and one side with less variegation. In my experience, I have seen plants that don't do that, but in my experience, all the Monstera albos I had do that. Then we go on to the plants with more leaves. Ooh, yep, this one really needs a repot because he kind of falls out of the pot. Here's a great example. As you can see, the left half has more sectoral variegation and the right half has more kind of speckled variegation. But I mean, that's how I'm used to it. Like, if this one continues the variegation, I'm very happy. I don't know if you remember, but in the video where I cut my big Monstera albo up and made these cuttings, the variegation almost got lost. And even on the one half where there was supposed to be more variegation or more sectoral variegation, there wasn't any. So that's why I cut it, and as you can see, a lot of cuttings are doing great, in my opinion, at least. Then we go on to this one, and as you can see, this one grew very crooked. The first leaves are going kind of against my theory that one side has less than the other, because I think it's kind of the same. But then the newer two leaves are kind of confirming it, because this has sectoral variegation and this doesn't, and also this has somewhat more variegation than this side. But we will see what it will do. It has a new leaf, as you can see, and I guess that's why I want to repot him. And then this one was kind of the one with the biggest root system. That's why I potted him up in one of the bigger pots. And this one is just like growing very beautifully, I think. This one also confirms that one side has more sectoral variegation and in general more variegation than the other side. And because the new leaf, I don't know if you can see it, but the new leaf has also sectoral variegation, and that leans towards the left. And I don't know if you noticed the pattern. I did. I guess because they're all coming from the same mother, if they have a separation in sides or a difference in sides, all of them have more sectoral variegation on the left, and all of them have more speckled variegation on the right. And so I think that's kind of funny. Okay, so I noticed that I don't have a middle pot size. I only have this pot size or this pot size. So I can't put him up a pot size bigger. It has to be in kind of this one. So I'm going to do that. Yeah, and I will put this size up in this size. Also, look at those aerial roots. All of them have them, and I find them crazy. What I'm going to do, because that's what I did with my first cuttings of the Thai, is that I will only kind of repot it to this, so that it would only kind of be slightly elevated, so the roots can grow down and the roots can go to the side. But then if I want to repot them again at the end of summer, I can, you know, elevate him a little bit more, and then he can slowly grow into these types of pots because they're still quite big. So that's what I'm going to do. I also want to pot them up so I could stabilize them a bit more, if you get what I mean. Okay, the root is kind of growing. I'm not gonna disturb them because I want them to keep their kind of structure as it is now. Okay, this is it. I agree that it kind of looks silly to put this kind of plant in this big of a pot, but as you may see, I have put soil until here. That's this one. So that was the biggest pot size I had. Then we got a slightly smaller one, but it's still a big one. And I have two of those, and I'm going to put these two in them. Okay, so this one is kind of really holding up. The roots are already kind of forming like the pot. I want this one to be straight more, so I'm putting him up a bit. So because he grew like crooked like this, he kind of looks like a bit lost now, but I'm sure he will grow excellent. And then the last bigger pot, this one. I mean, it's a good root bulb. That's really one thing I have to work on, to be consistent with watering, because oh my god, honestly, I can't. I'm just horrible, terrible. Okay, so a while ago somebody asked me how my Syngonium velandii was doing, if he survived. I don't know if other people were curious about that, but to, you know, give you a summary, no, he didn't survive. The whole root system was gone, basically, and the stem was so shriveled up that I just couldn't rescue him anymore. I tried to revive it, but it was too wrinkled up and then it rotted away. That's this one, by the way. Oh, that looks so cute. And again, I didn't fill him to the top, so there's space to repot him again to elevate him. Then those two are going into those two. The one that asked me that also said they had a problem with kind of how thirsty they are. So for people who struggle with the same problem with their Wallenii, you're not alone. A cute root system. Okay, it's very sweet. Someone referenced, they called it a vignette. Now, the only encounter I have with a vignette is that I have to write vignettes for my thesis. So I never thought about vignette as a word to describe the kind of table here with all the plants and the setup, but I like it. I like it. So thank you. I really appreciate that. It was kind of an excuse for me because the table is, I guess, a dressoir for in the hall to put across from your coats and stuff. I think it was advertised though as a desk, so where you can write. It's this one. And it was kind of an excuse for me buying this thing to just put more plants on it, because originally the bookcase would be behind me and I had the idea to have like the bookcase here and the couch that's next to me here, but you know, leave kind of a square here so there wouldn't be any overlap between them. However, this wall was too short to do that, so then I was kind of like, okay, because where the bookcase is now, that's next to the biggest window in this room, and so I had the idea to put a plant nook there, so you would like have your reading nook here and the plant nook there. However, because the bookcase didn't fit really here, I put the bookcase on the other side. But that meant I couldn't put plants there, and the plant stands I had were not suitable to put on this side because you know, you have to build it up. You have to put it in layers. So the longest stands in the back, and then a layer in front, the middle, and then smaller stands there, and maybe some plants on the ground. But you know, you had to layer it, and that's not possible with this wall because, for one, you have the door there. This, it had to be from one plant in a gradient to like more plants when you come in, because otherwise it didn't look good. And then you have the light here, so if you want to place plants in the corner, that wasn't really viable because it was too dark there because of how the window is placed. So that was really a struggle. And so I was like, okay, well, I can't really use those plant stands here in this place. I need something that elevates it high enough that the wall doesn't look empty, where I can put multiple plants. That was, I think, the hardest. I found plant stands that were the right color, but were like round and this big. There, maybe I could put 2 medium plants and 1 small plant, or 3 smaller plants on it, and that was it. And I just wanted a more uniform look to put more plants on one table or one stand. So that's kind of the story behind it. That reminds me, I also got a comment that kind of said that I had gray pots and that they are opted for more colorful pots. And I can totally understand it. In the recent years, I have seen more colorful pots where I'm drawn to. However, the thing with me and that is that I have chronic headaches and chronic migraines. That means that colors in general, colors can also trigger me. Like, sight is a thing. So on some days I'm more sensitive than on other days, and for example, bright sun can be a trigger. It being very like gloomy outside, but not the dark gloomy, but the very bright white gloomy, because everything in the sky is white and white reflects everything. It's too much light. TL light is a trigger, and so bright colors for a long period of time are also triggers. This is what I noticed over the years, and this is what my experience are. It's just how I experience color and what I noticed through my plant journey. But yeah, the problem with me is that I really love some of them. I really love them. Also, some of the designs, I sometimes see pots with a beautiful design, but with a very bright color, and then I know, okay, I can't one, pair it with everything else in my home, and two, even if I am going to change my style, it isn't like sustainable for me, because over a longer period of time I would get headaches from them. And so what I try to do is lean into the color I find the most pleasant, which is in its entirety blue. Blue has always been my favorite color, and I try to stick to a kind of a color scheme in every room, so it wouldn't be too vibrant and too busy and too intense. Our bedroom has kind of a rotan color, like a very neutral wood color, and paired with light green pots, and then the dark green from the leaves of the plants. The study room has like more of a boho vibe, so that's the mix of like light blues, baby blues, darker blues, and kind of all the teal or turquoise pots that don't fit in the living room. And I also have some kind of greenish shade, but it's more like greenish brownish shade that don't really fit into the bedroom space. So it's kind of a mishmash of all the pots, and there are also kind of some golden pots. There are also pots that combine like bluish tones with greenish tones, so it's more of a combination of everything I own. Some are a very intentional collection, so for example the Hoyas on the left on the circled shelf. Those are very intentional. On the other side is a more square shelf thing, and those are kind of also going together, but I'm more loosely with those. I guess this specific color palette is greenish blue, because that one is more lenient to green and the one with the round shelf thing is more lenient to blue. And then on my desk there are a lot of like combinations. There are some blues, there are some greenish ones, there are some in between. The one with the white flowers on it, that's also on there. So that's kind of a creamish look. It's kind of more boho leaning. Also, my whole setup of my desk is more boho. So there are more like variations of color, but still not intense colors. And in the living room, it's kind of a teal mixed with turquoise, but a mudded version of that together with grayish blue. And I think that the person who said gray pots meant those pots, because I can kind of see that within different kind of lights it looks like gray, but they are more blue than gray. The thing with grayish blue is that it makes me more calm. I think the reason why I like blue so much is because blue is kind of the color that you put where you want people to be calm. So for example, in a doctor's office, a lot of waiting rooms have bluish and grayish tones because those tend to be the tones that make you the most calm. This is it, right? By the way, those were all the Monstera Albo. I'm going to do these two. Yeah, this one kind of wants to hang like this, so I can also put him up like this. He also had new growth, so I don't want to disturb the new growth. That's why I'm so careful with this one. So cute, so very small. Also, I'm very proud of this one. I think you know the story by now, but this one was the last cutting I got from Hoya that really kind of like died during when I was away. So I'm really happy that this one survived. So that's the whole story about the colors. I'm very curious how your guys' living room or like place where your pots and your plants are looks like. I think you cannot put photos on YouTube, but if people like that, you can leave your Instagram handle and I can scroll through your photos. That would be fun, I think. I don't know if you're watching the person who left that comment, but I'm very curious how, you know, you do it and how other people put color in their home. So I think those are the comments I got. Again, I really appreciate you guys commenting. Oh, I'm so happy for this to grow. I'm so excited. I'm really happy with this plant. I notice, I think a lot of YouTube people do that, but I noticed that when I'm in a story, I kind of stop repotting, and the same goes for repotting. When I'm repotting, I kind of stop talking sometimes. So I'm sorry for that. This is this one. I'm so excited for this one. So the two other types of plants, and I'm going to put them together because I don't have any space and I just want them to kind of grow, and when that happens I can put them up separately. Oh wow, I'm just noticing that this one still has a smaller root, but I have 3 cuttings of that one, so I'm willing to take the gamble. You know, this one has good roots. This one doesn't have any, and I'm so confused why. As you can see, not every cutting does great. So I also think it depends on your cutting. Going back to the person who asked what I did with watering, I think it's also going back to depending on the cutting itself. So for every cutting it's different. I'm going to repot this one up and this one up, and I will leave this one in water. I kind of want to get rid of all the cuttings I have accumulated now, because it's getting full on our dining table and that is not really how it was supposed to go. So yeah, so this is the last one. So those are these ones. That was the video, and those were all the topics. If you have anything to say on the topics I discussed, leave a comment down below. If you liked the video, hit the subscribe and the like button, and I will see you in the next one. Doei!